Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back again today with another fantasy football video. Today, we are doing a 10-team PPR draft from the 6th spot, as requested by one of my subscribers named Ethan S. So, if you guys do end up enjoying this video, please go down below and click that subscribe button, because not only is it going to help me, it's also going to help you, because I'm going to help you guys dominate your fantasy football draft. And then once you dominate this draft, then you're going to go into the regular season. Dominate the regular season by making correct waiver wire decisions, correct matchups, correct trades, correct streams and all of that. And then during the playoffs, it's going to be the same thing so that you can win your fantasy football trophy. Now, if you don't already have a fantasy football trophy, go down below and check in the description for a website called Draft Bros. They are my sponsor, draftbros.com. If you use code Notorious at checkout, you will get 5% off. And even if you don't want anything, just go look at it. It's all pretty cool. I have some of the stuff and I do like it. So let's get right into the draft. So the first pick of the draft was Saquon Barkley, followed by Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, and now it is our pick. So this pick is kind of complicated here because I was hoping that either Hopkins or Adams would fall to us and DJ would get taken before us, so I would know for sure who I wanted. Now we are stuck between right now we're kind of just stuck because David Johnson's here. David Johnson's a running back that I really do like. But I'm scared for how bad this Cardinals offense has been looking as of recently. It doesn't look like they're really dumping the ball off to him or anything. He doesn't do much in the second preseason game. He didn't do good in the first preseason game, really, but he is likely to be heavily involved this season. I think he will be. Will they be able to figure it out over the course of the season? Probably. So, I mean, he's still probably a pretty good pick in the first round. Is he a guy that I'm guaranteed to be picking, like if I'm at the 4? No, because I think I would much rather just go with the safe wide receiver, but at the same time, the two best wide receivers are already gone, so I'm more likely to try to get DJ at this spot. Now, if Ezekiel Elliott does sign by the time you're watching this video tomorrow, then you could go Zeke here. But right now, DJ is the safest pick on the board, in my opinion, over a guy like Lev Bell or Connor or Chubb at this spot, so I will go with David Johnson. So after going with DJ, Ezekiel Elliott came on the board, followed by Michael Thomas, Le'Veon Bell, Julio Jones, Nick Chubb, James Conner, Todd Gurley, OBJ, and now is our pick. After that guy went with Odell, now it's our pick, like I said. So we're going to look at all the players still available. At the wide receiver position, we got guys like Tyreek Hill, Juju, Mike Evans. These are 3 candidates that I really would go here if I wanted to go wide receiver. But the running back position is looking very good here. Now, I personally don't necessarily love Dalvin Cook. I've drafted him in mocks. In a real draft, will I be able to pull the trigger on him? That is to be figured out in the future, because I haven't drafted him yet in 2 of the drafts I've done for real money. Now, I have other drafts coming up this week, so maybe you'll see me draft Dalvin Cook. But at the exact same time, I don't know if I would do it because of this injury proneness that he's had over the past 2 years. Now, he could definitely break out this season, as long as if you get Alexander Madison on your team, I think you should be fine because you could just play Madison if Cook's out. But you need to know that Madison may be more involved than a lot of people perceive. Now, obviously, it's not going to be like a 50-50 split, but maybe it's more 60-40 or something that we didn't really anticipate happening. Now, in my opinion, the best running back available right now on the board is Joe Mixon, Cincinnati running back. Now, Joe Mixon played great in the preseason game. Let me see. Oh, wait, did he not play? Am I dumb? He definitely played because he stiff-armed the the Redskins corner. What's his name? He used to be on the Panthers. Josh Norman. He stiff-armed Josh Norman into next year. So I like not Josh Norman. I like Joe Mixon a lot in fantasy football this year because a lot of people will say, "Oh, he's on a terrible team." Yeah, he's on a bad team, but the team is going to be getting better this year. They no longer have Marvin Lewis, that terrible coach. Now they have Zach Taylor. They should have a healthy Andy Dalton all year, and that will help Joe Mixon's growth. Because if they just have a backup quarterback, they're going to be like, oh, maybe they'll just run with the best player on their team, and Joe Mixon. And I think that they may rely slightly more on the run game at the beginning of the season because they're without A.J. Green, and it's going to be just the Tyler Boyd and Tyler Eifert show if Eifert's able to stay healthy. And I think that Mixon will be heavily involved in this offense. He's heavily involved in the passing game as well as the run game, so I like Joe Mixon here. Honorable mention carry on, but I wasn't feeling too dangerous with going carry on before Mixon. So I'd went with Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill on the board, followed by Dalvin Cook, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Juju Smith-Schuster, Antonio Brown, Kerryon Johnson, Pat Mahomes, and then T.Y. Hilton. So now it is our pick. The tight end's still available. The top 3 tight ends are still available, except for the number 1, Kelce. Kelce typically goes around the end of the first round to the middle of the second round is about where you typically see Kelsey come off the board. Now, Pat Mahomes went at the 3-4. Typically, I'd like to get him around the 5th or 6th round range, but he'll never fall that far. Sometimes he goes in the first round or the second round. Sometimes he'll fall to around the third. The third or the fourth is probably the average, but sometimes you see him go in the first or the second, and that's just a dumb move. Don't pick Pat Mahomes that early. The quarterback value is not that important. You can find quarterbacks later in the draft. A guy in the 10th round, you can get a guy like Jameis, Rivers, Big Ben, Goff, Newton, guys like that go in the 10th round that are probably going to be just slightly worse than Pat Mahomes. Because Pat Mahomes isn't going to throw 50 touchdowns this year. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. I highly doubt that'll happen. And if it does, that'd be pretty crazy. I just don't believe it will happen. So right now, we could go with the 3 running back stack, but I'd rather not do that because I don't really like Damian Williams all that much due to the fact that I think that it's going to be a running back by committee. Andy Reid said that will be a running back by committee. He played as the starter, made a brief appearance as the starter in Pittsburgh in the preseason game. Now, I don't necessarily think it's going to be like a huge running back by committee. I think eventually D. will become the number one on the team, but is that worth a third round pick a guy that's in a running back by committee right now? No, I'd much rather go with someone different there, but I'd rather just go wide receiver at this point. So we're going to go with the wide receiver that I like the most that's still on the board. If you wanted to go tight end, you're typically going to have to go with Ertz or Kittle by the end of the fourth round. They're typically gone. So if you're at the 6th spot, you typically will have to pick around here or your next pick. If you really want them, I would just pick them in the 3rd round because sometimes they don't fall all the way back to you in the 4th round. So we will go with a wide receiver here, though. Like I said, Adam Thielen is the best wide receiver still available. Amari Cooper is dealing with that plantar fascia issue, which is a heel injury, and I think Adam Thielen is really going to have a great season this year. I think he had a great start to last season. He had a strong preseason debut, caught 3 of all of his targets for 45 yards. The preseason doesn't necessarily mean everything to me. We know what Adam Thielen is. Adam Thielen is a guy that is a monster in PPR. He catches a lot of balls every single game. He has that touchdown upside. At the beginning of last year, he looked like a potential wide receiver 1, and probably was the wide receiver 1 for a while. It looked like a guy that you'd be drafting in the 1st round. Now he's falling all the way to the 3rd round because he didn't finish as strong. And I do believe that Kirk Cousins and Thielen and Diggs and all those guys are going to develop a better connection, and Thielen and Diggs will both play better this year for fantasy football. So after one with Adam Thielen, Zach Ertz came off the board, followed by Damian Williams, Leonard Fournette, Devontae Freeman, Amari Cooper, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, and now it is our pick. So the computer did end up picking a lot of the running backs that we would have looked at in this spot. But since it is a 10-team league, I am more likely to go with a tight end because in an 8 or 10-team league, every single team is going to be stacked, okay? You need to know that. Everyone is going to have great running backs. Everyone's going to have great wide receivers. Everyone's going to have a great flex. Everyone's going to have a great quarterback. But the tight end position is where the differential really happens. Getting a guy like Kelsey, Ertz, or Kittle will heavily give you a advantage at that tight end position. A guy like Kittle is going to be scoring likely a few more points than those tight ends, the other tight ends, every single game. If you're playing against someone who's starting a guy like Delaney Walker or a guy like TJ Hawkinson, you're likely going to be seeing like 4 more points or 5 more points every single game with Kittle. Kittle last year was going off for huge games. I think he could average about 15 points a game this year, and it wouldn't really surprise me. So I would like to get Kittle here because I think he gives us that advantage. And a running back or wide receiver we find in the 5th round will be sort of similar to a guy in the 4th round, especially when we're going to be able to get such good depth at running back and wide receiver since it's a smaller league. I would just go and lean for the tight end here. And the second best tight end, in my opinion, in fantasy football is George Kittle, and we get him as the 3rd tight end off the board. So after with George Kittle, me Timbers, Josh Jacobs came off the board, followed by Melvin Gordon, Marlon Mack, Julian Edelman, Robert Woods, Stephon Diggs, Kenny Golladay, Brandon Cooks, Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 wide receiver run occurred. You know what that means? The value now is in the position of the running back. Now, actually, I don't really like any of these running backs. I don't like Henry because I don't really trust him. The beginning of his season was amazing. He played amazing. No, not the beginning of his season. The end of his season last year was amazing. The beginning of it was horrid. So how do you really trust a guy who really only played good for 4 games, got like more than half of his fantasy points in 4 games. Every other game, he was really just disappointing you until the end of the season, so I'm against him. Mark Ingram, I feel like there's just so many backs in Baltimore that could surpass Mark Ingram. A guy like Justice Hill could surpass him just a couple of weeks into the season. Philip Lindsay, I think that Rolls-Royce Freeman could end up taking that job from him and becoming the lead back on that team. I still think Philip Lindsay definitely has some value here in the 5th round, but do I like him that much? No. James White or Sonny Michel, I just wouldn't pick them in the 5th round typically, unless it was like a 12 or 14 team league where obviously it's different in the 5th round. So we're just going to go with a wide receiver here, even though I talked about how the wide receiver value isn't as strong because there was a bunch of wide receivers going in a row, but I don't really like the receivers, and I'm not going to go a quarterback in, or the running backs. I'm not going to go a quarterback in the 5th round, so we will just lean for the wide receiver position. Now, as of today, we just learned that, or as of yesterday, I just learned that DK Metcalf did end up getting an injury to his, I believe, knee, and he is going to have surgery on it. So now it's looking like it's just going to be Tyler Lockett out there with a bunch of other guys. So I think Tyler Lockett's going to see a huge uptick at the beginning of the season in targets. And you guys need to understand that you have to win the whole season. And starting off super strong, and maybe Lockett could be a trade target for you, a guy you could trade, or not trade target, but a guy you can just ship off your team 3 weeks into the season after he starts off really strong, getting a bunch of targets, a bunch of touchdowns, and you ship him off. You say, "Fuck you, Lockett. We'll get a new wide receiver from someone else." And or a new running back or a new quarterback, something like that, in exchange for Lockett, who I believe will start off the season super strong. He scored. I think he'll play a great season as a whole, so I wouldn't even say you necessarily need to trade him. But if he starts off amazing when Metcalf's out, then I would definitely wouldn't mind trading him off there in that situation. But I think that Lockett's going to have a pretty strong season. He scored 10 touchdowns last year. Not sure if we'll be able to get that this year, maybe 8 or 9, but he still played great. It's very hard to predict touchdowns, and I think he'll still play great this year. So after we went Tyler Lockett, Mark Ingram came at the board, followed by Cooper Kupp, Philip Lindsay, A.J. Green, Jarvis Landry, James White, Sony Michel, A. Raj. So 2 quarterbacks already off the board by the 6th round. Typically, a guy like Rodgers, Luck, Mahomes, Watson, Baker may go before the 6th round of your draft because quarterbacks do typically go pretty fast in a lot of leagues of the because of how people view quarterbacks as being super important, even though they're not very important in fantasy football unless you're playing in a 2 quarterback league. But that's obviously not what this is. So right now, I'm really not liking the running backs that are available in this round. I'm not really liking Henry. I don't love Coleman. I don't love Cohen. And I like Eckler and Miles Sanders, but I feel like right here is just too early to be picking them. So I'd much rather just wait and build more wide receiver depth. So we're to go with wide receiver that I really like here, and that is Tyler Boyd. Now I like DJ Moore a lot as well. I think DJ Moore though could be surpassed by Curtis Samuel, score more points than him when the year comes to a close. If they're both healthy, obviously, if one of them gets hurt, then obviously the other one's going to be better. But I think that Curtis Samuel could have more production than DJ Moore, but it looks like Cam Newton got that deep ball back in practice. It looks like he's able to throw the ball, get that better throwing than towards the end of the season when his shoulder was absolutely messed up. And now he got surgery. It looks good. So I think DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel will have great seasons. But I do really like Tyler Boyd in this situation. I do like him slightly more, but at the exact same time, I don't really want to get Mixon and Boyd on the same team because at the end of the day, when you're getting a running back and a wide receiver that are on the same team, you better hope it's like James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster, 2 elite players at their position. DJ Moore isn't necessarily an elite wide receiver. I mean, not DJ Moore. I mean, Tyler Boyd's not necessarily an elite wide receiver, so I wouldn't really be risking it with him there. I would much rather just go with DJ Moore, who's on a different team, so that I'm not all in on the Cincinnati Bengals, who I believe won't be all that amazing. They should be better than last year, but I don't believe stacking a running back and wide receiver on a not so good team is that good of an idea. So I'd rather just lean DJ Moore's way. So after with DJ Moore, Lat Murray came at the board, followed by Derrick Henry, Tyler, Boyd, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Mike Williams, OJ Howard, Tevin Coleman, Miles Sanders. Sorry if you guys can't read the last names. Miles Sanders, Andrew Luck, and now it is our pick. So at the running back position, there are running backs that we like here, so I will happily go running back here now. I don't necessarily love Austin Eckler because I kind of like Justin Jackson's value a lot later in the draft because I believe that Justin Jackson will end up being pretty similar in production to Austin Eckler, but Eckler's going in like the 6th, 7th round. You're seeing a guy like Justin Jackson coming off the board, nearly undrafted in like the 13th round, 12th round, so you can easily snag him back there. But I think Austin Eckler will still be an asset for your fantasy team if Melvin Gordon comes back, whereas Justin Jackson will be totally irrelevant in fantasy football if Melvin Gordon was to come back. So if Melvin Gordon comes back week 8, you're just dropping Justin Jackson. But you can keep Eckler because Eckler's going to be the pass catching back on that team, or still get like 8 rushes a game even when Melvin Gordon is active. So I like Eckler here. After one with Austin Eckler, Alshon Jeffrey came up the board, followed by Evan Ingram, Robbie Anderson, Lamar, Thriller, Tariq Cohen, Hunter Henry, Carson Wentz, KD, and now it is our pick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 QBs already off the board out of 10. 4 teams, including myself, do not have one. If we were worried about tight end, I would count the tight ends. I'll count them anyway. 6 tight ends have already been selected, but we're not worried about tight end because, like I said, we already have Kittle that we drafted early. So now we can build some more running back depth here, and this is a very easy decision in my opinion. I like Rashad Penny way more than Darius Geis. Darius Geis could be an RB1. 100% you could find Darius Geis to be an RB1 in the 8th round, but at the exact same time, it's looking like he sat out the whole season with the torn ACL. He also underwent other surgeries. His status for week 1 is unknown. So how are you going to draft a guy who you don't know is going to play running week 1? You don't know is going to be the running back one of the team. It might be AP the whole year because Geis is just an injury-prone man, okay? He's one of those fucking guys that gets hurt all the time, just like AJ Green. Just like Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook less, but AJ Green's always hurt. So you need to make sure you stay away from those injury-prone guys. And Darius Geis is so fucking injury-prone that you have to avoid him. So I'd much rather go with Rashad Penny here, the running back 2 on Seattle that is looking to break out and be the RB1 on the team. Do I necessarily believe he will become the RB1? Not necessarily, but what I do know is there's on such a run-heavy team that Penny may see 8 to 10 rushes every single game, get the ball thrown to him a few times a game because Pete Carroll Express trying to get the running backs more involved in the pass game now. I do know that Chris Carson will be more heavily involved in the pass game than him. They're looking like they're trying to give him 50 targets the whole season for Chris Carson. But I do think Penny could get like 30 receptions, and obviously that does add to his value. It gets you 30 free fantasy points. So I think that Rashad Penny is a safe pick here. If he becomes the RB1, he's a straight up steal back here in the 8th round. But if he doesn't become the RB1, he's still the RB2 on the team. He's still a solid flex option every single week. So I like Penny here. So after we went with Rashad Penny, Christian Kirk came on the board, followed by Darius Geis, Allen Robinson, Darrell Henderson, Jared Cook, Jordan Howard, Dante Pettis, Vance McDonald, Curtis Samuel, Will Fuller, and now it is our pick. So I still like a bunch of these wide receivers that I think will fall to me in the 10th round. So I'm more happy to just go running back here and build some more running back depth. We already have 4 running backs, but we also already have 3 wide receivers, and I always like to finish the draft with more running backs than wide receivers, unless it's a 3 wide receiver league or 2 flex league, 3 flex league. Then you can just stack up on wide receivers. But in the 9th round, the value on Matt Ryan is so good. Matt Ryan, you know you can start him every single week. He's not a guy like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, who necessarily isn't matchup proof. They'll play teams where you know they're gonna get shut down, so you have to switch quarterback. But right here, I don't have to switch quarterbacks with Matt Ryan because every single week he's gonna be locked and loaded to go. He has 11 straight games in a dome. Okay, that's amazing. That means there's no wind interference on him when he's throwing the ball, and he's a very accurate passer. 13 out of 16 games are in a dome, which also helps because it's in a dome, like I said before. So I think Matt Ryan is a very safe option here. He has great wide receivers: Mohamed Sanu, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. He has his running back, Devontae Freeman. They've got Ito Smith still, and they still have Austin Hooper, a safety net for him. So I like Matt Ryan here. Pretty good that he fell all the way over here. The fact that Wentz went before him was a fatal decision by that team. Carson Wentz is not going to be good this year. Avoid him at all costs. So after with Matt Ryan, Larry Fitzgerald at the board, followed by D.D. Westbrook, Drew Brees, Geronimo Allison, Royce Freeman, Sammy Watkins, Ronald Jones, Kareem Hunt, and now it is our pick. So the running back I wanted, Royce, did end up getting taken, but there's still some running backs that I still like on the board. And the best running back still available, in my opinion, is Kalen Ballage, running back for the Miami Dolphins. I think that he will try and become the running back 1 on the team because right now Kenyon Drake is hurt. He's in that walking boot. So Kalen Ballage is going to try to become the number 1 on the team while Kenyon Drake is hurt. Will he become it? Who knows? But he will get used on the team whether Kenyon Drake's healthy or not. He will get the opportunities to try to become the running back 1 throughout the whole year on the team. And I think that he will have some solid games rushing, and I think that he's just a solid bench option because if Kenyon Drake ever goes down, then you have Kalen Ballage, and if Kalen Ballage becomes the RB1, then you've got him in the 10th round, so that's pretty good. After with Kalen Ballage, Sterling Shepard at the board, followed by Eric Ebron, Mr. Shortman, Kyler Murray, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Chicago Bears defense, LaShawn McCoy, Jalen Samuels, Cam Newton, David the Chief Njoku, and Duke Johnson. So the Bears defense did come in the 10th round. Don't draft the Bears defense before the last round or any defense before the last round because you're wasting a pick. Well, not the last round, but the last 2 rounds, depending if you go defense, kicker, defense, whatever floats your goddamn boat. Don't go with defense that early. I will tell you that right now. That is just dumb. You're not getting the value back. You could have easily found a good running back or wide receiver there that you could potentially start during the season. So right now, the pick for wide receiver is very easy now. I do like DK Metcalf, but he is having that knee surgery. Like I said, Pete Carroll doesn't think it'll be serious, or he'll be out for very long. But Pete Carroll also said that Doug Baldwin last year was going to be fine, 110% fine. And you know what happened? Doug Baldwin was not fine. He was out for multiple weeks. Don't buy into that. Buy into Mr. Marvin Jones here. He could do better than Kenny Galladay, and he's going. Let's see where Galladay went. Galladay typically goes around the 5th round. Yep, the 5th round, 2nd pick. And we're getting Marvin Jones at the 11.6. So that's a lot later, and the value on them is going to be. But when the season comes to a close, Galladay may have 20 more points than Marvin Jones, and you're finding this in the 11th round. A guy that's going to get you 12, 13 points every single week. He's recovering from that injury, but, it's okay. He got hurt last year, I believe, towards the end of the season, but it's okay because I believe in Marvin Jones, and I think he's a steal back here in the 11th round. He's a lot better than all these other wide receivers that are still available, like sorry-ass Corey Davis. So after with Marvin Jones, Austin Hooper got selected, followed by Jared Goff, Corey Davis, DK Metcalf, Rams D, Jags D, Emmanuel Sanders, Russell Wilson, and now it is our pick. So currently we have 4 wide receivers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs, so we're going to get some more. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got 5 running backs, so we're going to build more running back value. Now, Carlos Hyde is a guy that I did somewhat like, but at the same time, now I read some shit that he may get cut. He may not even make the 52-man roster. So why am I going to draft someone who could get cut? That's just fucking stupid. So I'd much rather just go with Matt Breida here, a guy who could be the running back 1 on San Francisco with Jerick McKinnon on the pup. It looks like Matt Breida, he didn't play against Dallas. He showed his versatility in practice. He's catching passes, running the ball, could see up to 180 targets, as that report just said. Or not 180 targets, 180 rushes, touches, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And I think that Matt Breida is pretty much a straight-up steal in the 12th round. And I've seen him go in like the 8th round or 9th round of drafts because people really like Matt Breida. So after all, Matt Breida, famous James came off the board, followed by Deshaun Jackson, James Washington, Carlos Hyde, Cortland Sutton, Peyton Barber, LA Chargers, Devin Singletary, Big Ben, Roethlisberger, and AP. So now we'll snag one more wideout because you don't need a backup quarterback or a backup tight end in a 10-man league. You just pick one up, drop one of these guys that doesn't end up working out, and pick up that quarterback. So right here, the best wide receiver available is Josh Gordon, but I don't believe he will be here in the 13th round, so I don't know if I should necessarily take him. But if he's there in your 13th round, that's who I would go with. But the other guy I would go with is Kiki Kuti. Now, N'Keal Harry may have been that option, but he got hurt. He's dealing with a hamstring and foot injury. He is expected to face the Steelers week 1. But when you're a rookie, like N'Keal is, and you're not getting practice in with Brady, Belichick's a crazy motherfucker. He may just not let him play as much as he would have previously played if he didn't get hurt. So we're just going to go with Kiki Kuti. Kiki's already hurt. He may not play week 1. It's unknown if he's going to play against the Saints week 1. But if he comes back week 3 or 4, it's fine because he's on our bench. He's going to ride the pine, and then we'll use him when we need him. So we're going to draft Kiki Kuti here. After with Kiki Kuti, N'Keal Harry at the board, followed by Damian Harris, Dante Moncrief, Lamar Jackson, Phillip Rivers, Greg the Leg Zerline, Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens, and now it's our pick. So the way you're going to go with defense, right? You're going to go on Google, type in NFL schedule week 1, and then you're going to find a defense that's playing against a shitty offense and draft that defense. So the defense playing against the shitty offense, week 1 is the Cowboys. Now, week 2, you can drop the Cowboys, but I would not advise against that because they're playing Washington, so you can play them week 2 also. But if you're drafting, say, the Eagles, because the Eagles are playing the Redskins week 1, they have a hard matchup week 2, then you just drop them and add a new one. I'm going to make a video about which defenses I like to target in the draft in a couple of days, but I would go with the Cowboys here. I like them, and I also like the Browns for both of their week 1 matchups, and the Eagles. So after we went the Cowboys, the Vikings came at the board, followed by a bunch of kickers. I'll only say real players. Hawkinson, who reports are coming out, is the tight end 2 on the team right now, which very much scares me, because I thought Hawkinson would be the tight end 1 on the team. Now I think he will eventually become that, but am I drafting him? as my only tight end? No, like I could have before. Justin Jackson, like I said, came after him. He's a guy who I like to target if I didn't already have Eckler because he's going to be seeing a lot of rushes, a lot of some targets while Melvin Gordon's out. If Melvin Gordon's out 8 weeks, you're getting 8 free weeks of Justin Jackson in like the 13th round. That's amazing. He went the 15th round here, but I would take him around the 11th, 12th, or 13th round. So after Justin Jackson went a bunch of defenses and then a kicker, so now we get our kicker, Jake Elliott. And then Robbie Gould, Trevecchio, Golden Tate, and Darwin Thompson came at the board. So our finishing roster is Matty Ice at quarterback. Our two running backs are David Johnson and Joe Mixon. Our wideouts are Adam Thielen and Lockett. Our tight end is Kittle, George Kittle. Our flex is DJ Moore. Our kicker is Jake Elliott. Our defense is the Dallas Cowboys. Our bench is comprised of Austin Eckler, Rashad Penny, Kalen Ballage, Marvin Jones, Matt Breida, and Kiki Cootie. So thank you guys all for watching. If you did end up enjoying, please go down below and click that subscribe button. It will help you. It'll also help me. Thank you guys all for 500 fucking subscribers. I love each and every one of you. Have a great goddamn day. Goodbye, guys.